Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
All right. That could be the whole show there, kids. And let me tell you, in our extensive pre-show preparation, that's what's all about us.
We just us jamming to the Phenomena song.
So let's do this, America. This is the name for this show this week is Family Medicine Rocks Live. So I don't know, I'll do that.
I like that.
You like that?
I like
Today's,
that.
Tuesday, January 13, 2015, and yes, I did pull the audio from the last show, and then for this audio podcast, it's going to be show number 333. You can find it at blogtalkradio.com/Dr. Mike Savella. So I have Dr. Mike Savella live here in Salem, Ohio, and of course in the co-pilot seat tonight is Dr. Gerry Tolbert. Hello, Gerry.
Good evening, Michael.
How's it going there, buddy?
Going well. How about you?
Hey, I like the new logo thing there. What's up with that, man? Yeah,
do you like that? I was messing around last week, and before we decided we were going to call this Family Medicine Rocks Live, which I think is awesome, so I'm going to add an L to the logo. But before we started that process, I was playing around with that Logoist software that we talked about last time, and came up with this. It's kind of the cheater version. I've used their template to come up with it, but it still looks pretty cool. And
so that's cool. Yeah, for the audio listeners, you're missing out. So if you go to MikeSavella.tv, you'll be able to see the video cast of this deal. But you'll be able to see this very cool logo that Gerry just kind of put together in like 5 minutes. It looks awesome. So
and actually, if you want to see a full-size, full-res version of it, let's share that across here.
We do have the technology.
Yes, we can rebuild them. So there you go. So I added the L. So now it's FMRL, Family Medicine Rocks Live. There you go. You don't like that as much?
No, we might be stealing some copyright there, because I think STFM has FMDRL or something like that.
Well, there's no copyright on letters.
Well, we just want to get their attention, so they yell at us. So we can get
that's good too.
We can get some free press. I like FMR too. So I don't know.
It works better that way. But you know what we could do? We could do FMR, and that could be like the overreaching thing, and then we could put live across the bottom of it. I'll play with that. See what
oh, that's cool. Hey, is FMR kind of a little Urban Dictionary kind of bad stuff? I don't know.
I guess we could. If anybody out there knows, they can tell us. If not, we'll look it up. I'll look it up while you're doing the lead in here.
So that's so we're still looking, still evolving and trying to find the identity to the show as we do more of these. We actually might do something like actually useful for people, like talk about actual medicine stuff or education stuff, in addition to all the fun that we're having. So yeah, that's kind of the goal of all of this as we kind of do all of this, as we continue to have no viewers. We can kind of continue to hone the show and see what's happening there. So Gerry, did you find anything bad there? Should we not do that? We should probably not do
that. We're safe. But there are some on the Urban Dictionary.
We're safe. Great.
Remind me to tell you after the show, because it's not from this company.
We'll have our post show.
Right. We don't want the tag.
Explicit tag?
Explicit
tag. Yeah, great. That's good. All right, so we'll go back to the drawing board on that deal there.
No, I think FMR is still good. I just think it's funny that there are some other things that Urban Dictionary does point out, but I think we're good. I think those phrases aren't going to be in common.
So here at Family Medicine Rocks World Headquarters, it feels like 9 degrees above zero. So it's, we've had a heat wave here this week. Gerry, how's it going down there? You guys, did I see right here? Are you guys getting like last week? You got some ice or all that?
Yesterday, actually, yeah, we got some pretty good ice yesterday, and my clinic was actually on an hour delay because of it. Tonight it feels like about 25 degrees, but it did get up to a balmy 36 today.
And of course, you're not alone there tonight. You do have a co-pilot with you there. Is that right, Gerry?
Yeah, co-pilots. There are two of them down there. Yeah, the Phoebe and the Lydia are joining us.
So did Mom leave you again? She's like out to.
She did. She's decided that podcast time equals shopping time, which I'm still trying to figure out how that equates. But whatever. If it gives me time to work, I can handle it.
Time to work.
That's right.
So how's it going? Gerry, so I have to tell you that I'm very tired. So if I
how tired are you? Oh wait.
If I fall asleep during the show, and I know that he's looking at the Coco pilots. So I was working last night, and so just to let people know. So I do. I'm one of the 3 people in all of America, family doctors who still see patients in the hospital. No, I'm just kidding. So I was on call for the hospital last night and watched the entire national championship, Ohio State, Oregon, which ended at about 12:30 a.m. And then just so excited, I watched ESPN for another 2 hours. So
good night.
Do not feel bad for me. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just looking for people to make fun of me, which I usually don't have to beg people to do. So a little bit on fumes here today, Gerry. Oh, we have viewers. We actually have more viewers. So we actually have to do a show here. So shout out to all the viewers. And if the viewers want to make fun of us, you know where to find us on Twitter and Facebook. And we will give you a shout out to who is actually watching us here tonight. So that's why I'm just kind of a little bit under the weather there. I do have my coffee here. We're out here in the middle of nowhere. This is not sponsored by Tim Hortons Coffee.
I wish.
They've been open here in Salem for 2 weeks, and I've been there a lot. So, but we do hope they sponsor the show. So I'll be doing that. So how are things with you there, man? Oh, he's listening into that.
I was just rocking a baby. She was a little fussy there, but no, things are going well. Just staying busy. Lots of clinic today and just chilling out. Got a little bit of time today to put together a new blog post for my doctor blog. Yeah, I know. I've been.
Oh, share with us. All these people that are listening to us and watching us. Just go ahead and talk about it.
So I restarted Dr. Geek MD. I've had that URL for a while, and I was blogging there for a little while, and just kind of sporadic with it. And today I decided finally on the tone that I want Dr. Geek and Here's to Your Health to take. So I decided to put up a post about wearable technology and what it really means and kind of where we are as far as generations of technology. Hearkening back to the late 90s, early 2000s. The MIT Wearable Computing Club and some of those other groups that were carrying around backpacks full of equipment and calling it a wearable computer. When now you can use a smartphone and a smartwatch and a smart pair of glasses. Everything starts with smart. Don't know why, but you can use those things to communicate and to really interface with the internet and interface with other people. And it's much less equipment to do much more in terms of on-body computing, and it's only going to get better. People complain about the size of things like the iPhone 6 or the Nexus 4 or Nexus 5, sorry, or the Nexus 6, I guess is the newest generation, or the Note 4. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. These big phones that are the size of my head. But if you think about it in terms of leaving that in your bag and interacting with it through another device, say your smartwatch or your Google Glass, there's much less of a barrier to having something that large that you're carrying around all the time, and then when you need it, it's right there and you can go back to it. So, the picture that I put up on the blog, let me pull that up here. One of the pictures, anyway, was a
And when you mean wearables, I mean you mean just the stuff that they're talking about now, that stuff you put on your wrist, or stuff that you can put on your hip, or there's even these kind of health technology things that you put around your chest as far as measuring heart rate.
Right.
Your Google Glass. I mean, is that the stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. It's anything that any piece of technology that you can put on your body and carry around with you relatively easily, anyway.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of the big thing now, especially over the past couple of years. People sometimes know the brand names like Fitbit and Nike Fuel Band, and I know Garmin has something, and this company has something, and that company has something. So what you're seeing on the screen is that let me shift here to Gerry's screen is. There it is, a wearable tech revolution. That is at drgeekmd.com.
Yeah, so drgeekmd. The wearable tech thing, one of the big things, if you look at that picture at the top that I've got posted there, is the looking back at this guy wearing his rear view mirror in front of his eyes and carrying a laptop and having a wired mouse that he's carrying around to be able to interact with that, so that he can interface with that laptop. Think about now, from my smartwatch, and my smartwatch is actually one of the first generation smartwatches, the Pebble, which is in the picture in the bottom there. From my smartwatch, I can control my music. I can receive text messages to my smartwatch. I can see emails on my smartwatch. If I had an Android phone, I could even kind of respond to some of those things and use two-way communication with it. And once the Apple Watch comes out, I'm stuck in the Apple ecosystem just because of all of the pieces I already have, so I'm kind of staying with what I've got. But I do like the Android ecosystem. They're both great, and they both have their pluses and minuses. But the idea is that two-way communication will be much easier, so I can pull up on my watch phone calls or text messages or apps that are interfacing to do everything from ordering pizza to ordering a taxi. So there's a push these days to put your phone in your pocket and leave it there. And so a bigger phone, that's not really a problem, because you can put a bigger battery in a bigger phone, and you can put more computing power in a bigger phone, and that allows you to do more longer, and then you can offload some of those other duties like interfacing, just like you would do for your keyboard or for your mouse, to something like a watch. So there's this idea of increased interface capability there because of the wearables. Plus, you're collecting information, like you were talking about with things like the Fitbit or your Misfit or any of the other Fit containing names out there for those devices that are collecting information. That there are even devices now that are collecting health information. So AliveCore, which is a company that makes cases for phones, as well as now even a stick-on Bluetooth EKG, so you can get a single lead EKG. And you can do something like that. It's a consumer-grade product. The FDA has approved it for consumer use. So even some things as simple as that, you can be collecting data that you can share with your physician, and that is going to be the future of what we do. It's going to be hard to figure out which data is important and which isn't, but until we start collecting it, we're never going to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's you did kind of go take that next step that I was going to bring up, as far as we have a lot of I have some of my own patients, and I know patients on the internet out there are saying, hey, we have all this data that we are collecting. We want to present it to our physician, to our clinician, to our provider, and what would be the best way to do that. People talk about the security or insecurity of things like text messages and email and unsecure type of exchange of information, and there's got to be some way that either the law's got to catch up, or we need better security, or better type of data systems to try to integrate that. It would be cool, to get some of some of this Fitbit data to put it into an EMR or into your medical record and process that, and then present recommendations to the patient about some of this stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
Agreed. The thing that you have to be careful of too, though, is there's so much talk about security and other things like that. What is going to, and this is actually a question for you even. What about this secure? What about it is insecure? Let's put it that way. And what if it's insecure? I guess would be the next question. What are people afraid is going to happen with this data? And if there's no specific fear, it's just, it's free data, so that's somebody's going to do something with it. I don't know that there's much that people are going to do with your heart rate or your heart rhythm or even your calories burned, calories in, calories out, that's going to be detrimental to you. I could see them using it to target you for ads for, gym memberships and things like that. But honestly, if you need a gym membership or you need to get fit, those reminders may not be a bad thing. So I don't necessarily know that there's the information that we're collecting, even if it's going into an electronic medical record, I don't know that it's bad for that to be free, for that to be open.
I think what people are concerned about is that if one piece of data is in their mind, is out there and for people to see and insecure, what would stop kind of bad guys to dive into more personal information? So I think that's the perception that some people have out there, that either it should be all kind of secure, whatever that definition is, or not secure. And I think it's going to take time for people just to kind of get over that, because people have information out there right now on different sites, whether it's Google, whether it's Amazon. And people seem to be okay with that, but when it comes to health information, which I do understand up to some point, people have a little bit of anxiety over.
I understand the concept. I don't necessarily agree with it, and even with my own personal data, I will gladly tell you what my cholesterol was, because there's nothing you're going to do to use that against me. Even if you're my insurance company, there's actually a law now that says that you can't use that against me. As much as people don't like the Affordable Care Act, one of the provisions of the Affordable Care Act is that you can't use that information against me, whether you're an insurance company or an employer or some other entity. And so the idea here is, what is there to fear? How do we come up with that question? How do we answer? We can't answer people that are afraid without knowing what they're afraid of. And that's the part that I'm still trying to figure out. To that end, though, that health data, the information that we're collecting, it's all very important. But the other side of this is, we are constantly interacting with each other and with the internet and with our environment and all of these other bits and pieces of what is now becoming the Internet of Things. I know kind of last week we talked about that having that seamless interface is going to require some information gathering. The computer is not going to be able to tell what you're doing or how you're doing it if it can't access that information. And if it's already accessing that information, why would you not want it to be cataloging that information? Because in the world of medicine, which is basically statistics applied to real life, why would you not want more information? More data equals better statistics in a lot of cases. Now, that's not always true, and I know garbage in, garbage out. There's a whole lot of arguments about what we're collecting and how it's going to work. But the idea is, why would you not want to quantify the pieces that we figure out are eventually important? You can dump the rest of it, and then until we figure that out, you just start collecting everything so that you have something to use to filter out. Now, signal noise, the problem we run into is processing power, but whatever.
Yeah, because I definitely have limited processing power.
I could see you glazing. That's why I stopped.
Right there. It's just like And again, shout out to everybody who's watching us, because
how many do we have?
Well, we have three viewers. So.
Sweet.
Yay! We love
Three is
you.
non-zero. That's good.
We love you people out there who
We have a
are
non-zero number of viewers.
actually watching the show. And people who are listening to us afterward on the audio podcast. So big shout out to everybody.
We love you too.
We love you too out there. So yeah. So this week I got an interesting question from Twitter, and it goes like this. It's actually it is from, and this is one of the coolest Twitter names. Her Twitter name is @BallroomDivaMD. So how cool is that? Her description is family medicine and addiction medicine doc, patient, ballroom dancer, and so give her a follow right now. She has 84 followers right now. So everybody out there, just give her a follow, Ballroom Diva MD. So here's her question. She says her residents are curious about good podcasts for education, especially having to do with general family medicine topics and board review. And so Gerry, so do you know of any? I mean, I was because what I told her was, I know very little ones, but do you have any suggestions for our question from Twitter?
Sure. As far as educational podcasts or podcasts that go over information that would be pertinent, especially for residents, there are two that I listen to on a semi-regular basis. One is PodMed from Johns Hopkins. There are two physicians that essentially review literature, recent literature, and they do a really good job of putting those pieces of information into applicable settings. So they take bench science sometimes, or they take clinical review studies, or they take information that's come from journals, and that was big news for the week, and they kind of go back and forth to decide, is this something that's important, is it something that's pertinent, is it something that we're going to use, or is it something that needs more study, and this is a good starting point. And they do a good job of kind of summarizing that. The other is the New England Journal of Medicine podcast, and they have a quick summation of the articles in New England Journal. And so lots of good, quick information there. I haven't listened to that one in a while, so I don't know how it's formatted now. It used to be that it was basically just a review of the articles from top to bottom. They used to have one from the AAFP. At least it was sanctioned, I think, by the AAFP. And I haven't heard it or gotten an update on it in my podcast feed in a long time. It was it used to be some guys out of Pennsylvania that did a really good job of summarizing some articles as well. And I haven't heard that one in a while. I at one point thought about doing something similar, but I didn't want to step on toes. So, but that was a good place to get information. And then there was one other one. Now I'm blanking on it. Actually, that wasn't general medicine topics. That was nature. Nature medicine actually does some cutting edge stuff, but it's more broad sweeping things than straight up clinical medicine.
Nature medicine. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, Nature magazine, the cousin of Science magazine, and they have a podcast that is Nature Medicine, which is the subjournal, and it's really good, but it's very cutting edge. It's stuff that we won't see in clinical practice for another 10 or 20 years.
Well, see, there you go. So I will follow up with them with that information. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wish that that our own colleagues or maybe I'm not even aware of it, and our family medicine colleagues are doing stuff already.
I've done some searches and haven't found anything, but it would be great if people knew about it, if they tell us for sure. That way we could share it with everybody. I have contemplated in the past just sitting down with a journal and going through the articles, just the brief summation of the articles, the conclusions they reached, and then the levels of confidence and recommendations, because doing that on a podcast would at least have me reviewing it out loud, which you get two phases then of that wonderful mythical types of learning. And there you go.
Oh,
this one's to you guys who do that podcast.
Yes. Kudos to you. All right. Well, cool. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff on the list here.
Hey, tell me about this EAB thing. I was hoping for a badge or a sword or something, but I haven't seen anything yet in the background. Did you get anything cool for this, or tell people about it?
So I was contacted by the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic
Like the one
Center.
that sells like mayonnaise, or what are we talking about
No, no, the Mayo Clinic in
here?
Rochester,
Rochester.
Minnesota. The
Wow. So like the people that are that everybody says are the best doctors in the world, um, um, at least on television. I'm joking. They're very good doctors. Don't I shouldn't down Mayo Clinic. They're pretty amazing. But it's just funny people use that as a reference without ever checking.
well, I know when I started in social media, I think they were kind of the first hospital, or maybe even still the only hospital that has kind of a social media center within the hospital. And when I started doing social media, I went to a huge kind of a social media summit, which was kind of the first of its kind, I believe. And this was back, 2008, 2009, 2010, so somewhere around there. Um, and so I think they do the coolest stuff when it comes to hospital-based social media stuff. So they have an advisory board, which are not just doctors. There are people in health communication, public relations, with this kind of a specialty in health. And I've been following them for a long time. So they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have a spot on our advisory board that is opening up, and we think you'd be great doing that. So starting this month, I'm one of, I think, about 5 or 6 or 7 people, new people who are on that board, serving a 3-year term, being an advisor to the Mayo Clinic Center for Social Media, which is I'm very excited about. This is kind of one of the coolest things I've ever been asked to do. They have an annual meeting, and they have kind of regional meetings all around the country too. They're targeting social media in hospitals, but I know that they want to reach out to other kind of industries, like pharma, and like communities doing social media as well. So they had a big write-up that was just kind of put on their website this week. If you just Google Mayo Clinic Center of Social Media, and you'll get to their website there, and you'll get to see my picture there saying, "Hey, I'm part of them now." So they have their annual meeting is coming up in the summer, and they have their first international kind of social media summit, which is going to be in Australia in September, which will be awesome to go to. But the big family medicine AFP meeting is going to be right after that. So I doubt I'll be able to get the time off for that, but I think I'll be going
I
up
think
to
you should just tell them two things.
What's that?
The first is Australia, come on, and then second is that's not. Oh wait, how's it go?
Take two. Take two.
Yeah, hold on. So the original line is that's not a knife, this is a knife, and so you should say that's not a conference, this is a conference.
So for the past 2-3 days on Twitter and Facebook, been getting some shout outs and kudos, not just for me but the new people on the board. So I'll be talking about them a lot on my social media platforms, Twitter and Facebook and blogs and all that stuff, and it's a huge opportunity to meet a lot of new people. And to say, hey, I'm associated with the Mayo Clinic in some way, which is very, very cool. So
that's awesome, dude.
So very excited about that. There'll be more stuff that we'll be talking about, and so that's the big thing. Is I haven't written a blog post yet at drmikefellow.com, but that should be forthcoming soon, telling people how excited I am to be a part of them. So it's very, very cool. I'm very excited. Yay! I got the golf clap.
I need an applause. I got to put some carts together here so we have some sound effects.
So very cool. Let's see what else is going on. I did write something on my on the blog this week at drmixville.com, which want to give a big shout out to our friends in the Family Medicine Revolution, our social media activist group from Family Medicine. And a cool thing happened. We're just kind of showing some love to one of our kind of family members or friends in our community. Somebody who I've met maybe just once or twice. Her name is Carla Booker, and she's a family physician in Georgia. And she got married last fall to someone she's known for a very, very long time. And you can get more information about this at drmikesville.com. And her husband was diagnosed with end-stage cancer, and he passed away about a week ago. And what I saw on my social media channels was very, very cool from our friends in family medicine. It was Carla and Kent loved Haagen-Dazs butter pecan ice cream. And what I saw kind of on my Facebook page and also on Twitter are people kind of doing a kind of a hat tip or recognizing Kent and Carla, having his favorite ice cream, taking a picture of it, and putting it on Twitter and putting it on Facebook, and using a hashtag. The hashtag is Haagen-Dazs, the number 4 Kent, Haagen-Dazs for Kent, and I talk about that in this blog post. And after I wrote that up, I've been seeing a lot more pictures of it, and a very cool thing is the Haagen-Dazs, the company in the U.S., put on their cover page or cover photo for on Facebook butter pecan ice cream, and I think they're trying to get people to donate to. I think the family wanted the American Lung Association, so they're trying to get Haagen-Dazs to make a donation to them. So that is one of the cool things about social media is that not only is it used kind of in a troll type way, people just angry and frustrated. It's used for something like this. Showing some love, showing some recognition, showing that you're sending your thoughts and prayers to a person or the family or the memory of somebody. And if you want to get more information, I probably kind of butchered their story because you have to read the articles in the links that I put on there on drmikesville.com of a couple of articles from their local newspaper in his obituary, which was very well written. And go there, and the blog post is called FM Revolution Shows Love. And even in my Facebook post, Facebook kind of timeline today, I'm seeing people all around the world having their Haagen-Dazs pecan ice cream for Kent, Haagen-Dazs for Kent. So I want to give a big shout out not only to our cool family medicine community, but also sending condolences to Carla and her family. I wish I met the guy, and I wish I knew them a little bit better. But just from what I'm reading from all of our friends out there, very, very cool what they're doing. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of shout out on some cool things that are happening. So, Gerry, take over.
Sure. Yeah, that was an amazing outpouring of respect and love from the family medicine community, and I really do, as Mike said, send my condolences to Carla and hope that she is making it through. As far as other topics, there are a lot of different things that we've been talking about. We talked about the things that we were writing about and the things that we're talking about for social media, the things that we've got going on in our lives. And one of the few things that I've got going on with a bunch of babies here is we had been talking about potentially going to Disneyland for a group trip with some of our friends. And unfortunately, we found out earlier this week that Disneyland was partially responsible for a measles outbreak. So we have decided at this point that Disneyland is probably off for a little while, at least until the small ones who are crying at the moment. Oh, hey, say hi. Can you say hi? Until the small ones have reached MMR age, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination age, we will probably forego trips to large amusement parks in the foreseeable future. It's an interesting confluence of events that has led us there, but it's probably a wise idea, all things considered. We also talked about influenza, and there's a pretty good indication that things have started to dip, but as usual in influenza, there's usually a biphasic peak, meaning two hills in that graph, one early in the flu season, one later in the flu season, and we're getting to that later peak. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even though things have been dropping, that over the next few days that they do start to increase again. So we do want to make sure that people, if you haven't gotten your flu shot, it is still a good idea. And CDC today had a Twitter chat about influenza and giving people a chance to ask questions, and they really hit hard on some really good facts about the flu vaccine and what is important and what is not necessarily important. And so if you've got any questions about influenza, check out cdc.gov and click on the link there for their influenza information.
We love CDC. Really good information. And I get that question in my office every day. Where do I get my information? And I always go to CDC. Not only do they have good educational things, but they have kind of the graphs and the trends. And Gerry, you may have mentioned that already. But we love the CDC.gov website.
I was mentioning, that influenza at this point is in that nadir in between peaks, when usually during these seasons, the actual influenza seasons here, those last couple we've had fairly light seasons. This year, the numbers have been a little bit higher. I'll be honest, if you go back and look at the data across time, as far as reported data, it's not really horrible. It's bad every year, and so the more people that get vaccinated, the better off we're gonna be as a population.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things that Gerry and I would want to do. Maybe try to evolve on this show. We're on this podcast is, trying to give you not only fun information but useful information for the public, information for patients. And if you guys have suggestions for us to talk about, you can go to drmixabell.com, or you can find me on Twitter. And because we want to try to make this podcast not only entertaining but also informative and useful for all of you out there. So, but at the beginning of the year, this year, it's been, or even the end of last year, there's been a lot of kind of infectious disease and infection type of stories as far as the, Ebola and influenza. And all that type of stuff. So, but what do you got there going on there, Gerry?
I was just going to say, so here's the key points from this PSA that we've just given you. Make sure, folks, to cover your coughs, wash your hands, and if you haven't already, please get your flu vaccination, because the more you know, the safer you are. You gotta love NBC.
Wow. Oh man. All right. Well.
Okay.
I think that's what's on our list. I think we'll kind of end a little bit early here because I'm kind of running out of gas here. So
as always, we did get an email here just over the last couple of weeks. We've gotten a few emails to remind us NCCL coming up end of April, beginning of May. Don't forget to prepare for that, to start asking about vacation time. I know some folks have to start early. The dates for that, the 30th of April through the, was it 2nd of May, 1st of May? I guess I should have rehearsed that before I...
Yeah, I believe it is.
You know how you find out? You watch the video that we put together. It can be found on the FM Revolution website, as well as on my YouTube channel, if you're ever searching for it. So that's Dr. Tolbert, DRTOLBERT, and you can find that there.
Yeah, April 30th through May 2. and you can get more information at the AFP website, afp.org/leader, LEADER. So they already have some cool graphics on there. AFP Leadership Conference, Gather for a Purpose. Don't miss the Family Medicine Leadership event of the year. And we'll probably be talking about that cover page and cover photo for a while.
Okay, anyway.
And also, coming up, I think just in about a couple weeks, I'll be going to Kansas City for their winter committee cluster meeting. I know some of our friends in FM Revolution will be out there as well.
Whoop, whoop.
So that's going to be a good time. And I also have a state meeting coming up in about a week and a half in the great city of Columbus, Ohio, where our state chapter will be talking about stuff. So it's kind of the advocacy update on that. So yeah, I think we're done here. Jerry, do you got anything else for us?
Nope. Follow me at Dr. Tolbert on Twitter, and feel free to send questions or requests for things you want to hear about on this podcast. That question you had tonight was awesome, and if we can get more questions like that, we'll be happy to do some research and answer those questions or answer them out of what we already know.
All right, man. And I am Dr. Mike Sevilla, drmikesevilla.com, and on Twitter at Dr. Mike Sevilla. And I apologize for the low energy tonight. I'll work on that next time. But the good news is this is like 2 weeks in a row that we're doing this. So very excited about that, Jerry.
We got to make it to 12, though. Isn't that the magic number in podcasting? 12 episodes, and then once you get past that point, then you're set.
I hope so. A big shout out to the people that are watching us live, and who are listening to the archive podcast afterwards. So we are slowly building the audience there, Jerry.
That's right. We got to build the community.
Be a part of the conversation. Well, actually not. We don't have any way to do that.
I was going to say that. Well, we can.
Other than Twitter. And Twitter and Facebook. People can.
Right, and we could put questions in the Hangout. Then we could have a Q&A session.
See, we'll
figure it out.
We're figuring out. We're evolving this. Yeah.
So the third, the first of three has returned. So she may be running down here to jump in my lap here in a second. So.
Hey, you got the Phenomenon song to close out there, Jerry?
I do. Give me just a second here. You mean the Phenomenon song?
So, that's right. So yeah, so we'll be doing this here, hopefully on a more regular basis out there. So thanks everybody who watched us live and watched us on the archives and listened to us on an archived podcast. And so we're getting better. Well, at least feels like we're getting better. I don't know. Maybe we are.
And on that note,
there you go. Say goodnight, Jerry.
Good night, Jerry.